channel. I hope you guys enjoyed the previous videos, especially the one I uploaded about a month ago. So the most recent video. Today I'm gonna be talking about another important topic about basically what quiet anxiety looks like. Basically what that means is that anxiety doesn't always look obvious. Some people struggle with anxiety quietly, so you may not even notice they're going through any anxiety, but in reality they are. They're just not overtly expressing it. I'm just gonna talk to you guys about what quiet anxiety looks like for me, how I feel. A lot of people often assume that anxiety is always visible, but that's not always the case. Someone can be going through an anxiety attack or something and feel anxious, have loud thoughts in their head without physically overtly, like I said, expressing it. Like some people won't even realize what you're going through. People won't always know that you're going through something because again they don't express it, and they seem okay, they seem fine, they're outside or at school or whatnot, but inside they're suffering. And you can't, don't be too quick to judge someone just because of the way they're presenting themselves or the way they're acting in public. Anxiety can be hidden sometimes, and I don't know if it's for everyone, but for like me, I'm really good at hiding my anxiety, especially if I'm in public. If I'm with people, my family members or close friends, I may be more comfortable expressing it, but when I'm in public I don't usually like express it too much, because I don't know, I feel like it's embarrassing. That's what I think, so I really don't want like expressing it. Also, I don't want people to think something's wrong with me. People can think you're okay because you seem calm, you seem fine, you don't seem like it doesn't seem like anything's happening. You don't seem stressed or anxious or anything like that. You're not showing any symptoms to prove that. A lot of times, for example, when I'm in public, I can be feeling anxious or not the happiest, but I put a smile on my face and I try to act normal, like everything's okay. But in my head, I'm just constantly thinking about my anxiety or an issue that's happened recently, or that I'm thinking about, like I'm just a problem. I'm just constantly thinking about it while I'm also trying to put a smile on my face and pretend everything's okay. So yeah, I can be anxious. Let's say, like I talked about my previous video about going to school for a certain reason, and I can be really anxious, but I can seem okay. I'm walking to school, I'm not shaking outside. I'm just walking to where I need to go, so I can seem okay. But in my head, I'm like, I have a lot of thoughts and I'm panicking. I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? What am I gonna do? Am I gonna embarrass myself? Am I gonna do well? Am I gonna talk to anyone? That goes on in my head a lot of times when I'm like, going to school. I can seem fine outside, so I'm overthinking, feeling uncomfortable. And yeah, sometimes I want to leave. Where sometimes if I'm in an uncomfortable situation, like let's say in the past my parents would force me sometimes, I'm sure most parents do this, they would force me to go to family friends homes or their friends homes, or home to people's homes that I wasn't people I wasn't close to, and I would feel really uncomfortable sometimes because I didn't know anyone. Sometimes I can, if I can feel that they weren't the nicest people, it affected me personally, like emotionally and physically. Like I would just turn off or like not want to speak, so I would feel really uncomfortable, but I would pretend I'm fine. And if people talk to me, or I would converse with them, I wouldn't just stay quiet like this. I would talk, but I would feel very uncomfortable. Another thing, sometimes when I'm in a conversation, especially in a conversation when, like, let's say I have to do a group project, or I have to or professors put us in groups in class, sometimes I stay quiet. I hold back, but I really want to talk. Like, even though I want to talk, I still hold back. I constantly think of, like, I overthink of what I want to say. Sometimes I think, oh, like, is this the right thing to say? Am I gonna sound wrong? Am I gonna sound weird? like, should I say this? And if I feel comfortable with the group, I will, maybe I would, but I usually have a difficult time contemplating what I should say. And sometimes I feel like, oh, if I don't talk enough, will they think I'm like, you know, unsociable, or just like introverted, or, you know, not interested? Like, that's what I also think about. And then when the conversation is over, you know, like, let's say class is over or anything, you know, I always think about it later, and I'm like, wow, could I have said something better? So yeah, when I'm gonna be put into a group, especially with people I don't know, my heart starts racing and I start to get very anxious. You can't tell I'm anxious. You can't tell I'm, you know, not looking forward to this group conversation, this group teamwork. But I can get really I sometimes get really uncomfortable sometimes, and it's happened to me like in the fall in one of my classes I had that. And sometimes honestly I would, because we usually had discussions at the end of the class, and a lot of times I would leave before we started the group discussions, because I was just really uncomfortable and I didn't want to be left out, or because again the professors didn't choose the groups. You had to make your own, and sometimes I'd feel like, oh, no one's, like, everyone has a friend or whatnot, whatever. So I would get uncomfortable, and I realized that just reinforced my issue, because I'm just like getting away from the situation when I shouldn't have. But anyways, that's the past. And yeah, it's not that I don't care, it just sometimes I don't really want to talk, or I have difficulty doing so because of the issues I said, the problems I said. And it just makes me feel like, I don't know the word, but it just, I feel really bad about myself because of that. I feel like I should be more mature than this, you know. I should talk. There's no harm in talking. Like, what's the worst that can happen? But unfortunately that happens often. So quiet anxiety can be exhausting at times. Just because I'm not, you know, physically showing any symptoms, it doesn't mean it's not exhausting. I'm constantly thinking about things, of things that happened, and things I could have done differently. I'm mentally drained. At the end of the day, I'm mentally drained. Not physically, mentally, but it can feel physically draining. Like, I just want to rest. I just want to like lay down, you know. And it could just be from, you know, going to a social gathering. I can act okay sometimes, like I seem okay, but internally I'm struggling. You know, something bad that day, something could have happened that day where I thought I really did embarrass myself, or I could have said something differently, or, you know, I could have taken a step, but I didn't, or I didn't do that. So that wasn't the case. So I struggle. And sometimes it's not only that, sometimes it's just, if I'm feeling uncomfortable in a situation, I'll struggle. I will. And I'll try to pretend everything's okay. Because, you know, at the end of the day, is it really that bad? What I'm going through, is it really that bad? Like, is this situation detrimental to my health, to my life? No. It's always mostly, it's, again, like I said, social situations. And like, I know I have nothing to fear, but in my head, that's all I'm thinking about. I always have fear, and that's always in my head, and these thoughts about what's gonna happen. Like, I always want to prepare myself. This is what I feel about like things people misunderstand. At times I do feel like people assume, I'm not saying this about everyone, but a lot of people, I'm sure, assume that I'm, or other people like me, are shy or being rude. Like, why aren't they talking? Is it because, you know, they're shy, or they're antisocial, or they're just don't like talking to people? And I do feel like that's what people think of me sometimes, because I may not seem very emotional in my face. I may just be like, or not very talkative in a group setting. But it's not because I don't want to talk, or it's not because I don't like people, unless the people I'm with are rude. But you know, generally it's because I feel uncomfortable, or I don't feel confident in myself to speak. People may not realize that you're anxious in that moment. They might just think that you're not a people person, you don't want to be here, things like that, you know. But really, I'm just going through a lot of anxiety in my body, in my head. Also, what people don't see, obviously, are the thoughts after the interactions. Obviously, you can't see anyone's thoughts, but I always have so many thoughts of interactions, conversations, um, events that I've done in a day. Even days before, weeks before, like I've said previously. Like I'm always thinking, and in bed, I'm like, oh my God, what could I have said? You know, and it's always about embarrassing myself. Like, did I embarrass myself? And I'm like thinking of what those people may be thinking. And I always worry about the smallest things. Like, for example, do I look okay? Do I look, you know, nice enough, presentable enough? What happens if they think I'm weird because of the way I speak? What happens if I can't articulate properly? I worry about the smallest things. Or what happens if I'm late to class? When I open the door, everyone's gonna be looking at me. Like, that's what I think about. And I know they're not big things. I know I shouldn't worry about things that small. I should worry about, you know, more important things. I know. But it's just how it is with me. It's not like I choose to do it, it just happens. And only people who go through anxiety can understand what that feels like. So, you know, everyone experiences anxiety differently. I would say it's like a spectrum. It's not just black and white. Oh, everyone who has like social anxiety has these symptoms, feels this way, you know, for example. It's not like that. Everyone experiences it differently, feels differently. Yes, we have similar symptoms, but it can feel different depending on the person, and they may see the world differently as well, through like a different lens. We don't, just because you go through the same mental illness doesn't mean it's exactly the same for everyone else. Also, I want people to know that quiet anxiety is valid, it's real. It should be also talked about a lot more, because just because we shouldn't, you know, judge that person as not being anxious because we can't see that they're anxious. We can't tell that they're anxious. Or we can't, you know, judge a person, you know, oh, they don't have a mental illness. They don't look like they have a mental illness. No, don't judge that. Don't judge people because of what you can't see, okay? They may be going through something privately and no one knows about it because they don't want to express it. It's hard for someone to express their mental illnesses, especially to people they don't know. Even with people they do know, it could be difficult at times. And, you know, no judgment. You know, don't judge anyone for things that you can't directly see. And, you know, throughout this channel, I want everyone to know that I'm still learning too about anxiety. Yes, I have it. Yes, I've had it for many years, but doesn't mean I've figured it out, you know? There's good days, there's bad days, there's times where I'm like, wow, I didn't know this about myself, or anxiety can do that, you know, things like that. I'm still learning too. I'm still learning how to cope with it, how to deal with it every day. It's something you learn about every step of the way. It's not something you know right away. Just because you go through it doesn't mean you know everything about it or you understand it completely. So I just want everyone to know that, and that it's okay if you're still struggling and if you haven't completely understood everything about your mental illness. So this is just, you know, my experience. You know, I'm sure other people experience it too, differently, maybe similar to me, but everyone experiences it differently. And I just want to know that if someone relates to me, they're not alone. Just channels just to show people that they're not alone and there's other people like me going through similar things as you. So you always can come on this channel when you feel like no one can understand you or you feel alone and that you just need to listen to someone. This is the end of my video. I hope you guys learned a lot from this video and, you know, try to understand now what quiet anxiety could look like or can feel like. better say what it can feel like. Thank you guys again, for staying on this journey and enjoying. I hope you guys enjoy my videos. I really do. I know it's not much. I know I'm just speaking, but it's, a lot of personal things, and I just want, people to come on here knowing that they're not alone and the struggle is real. And that, we can do this together. We can, get through this together, and that you shouldn't feel ashamed to admit that you're going through a mental illness. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, your week, okay? Take care.